Now to WA's film boom, and with Red Dog's tail still wagging at the cinemas, production on new West Australian films is ramping up right around the state. And it's no coincidence that most films are happening outside Perth, with the state's booming mining industry making the move into show business. Claire Nichols reports.
Hello? Are you lost? Do you need water?
It's the film that's brought WA's Pilbara region to the world.
He was like a dog for everyone.
3 months after its release, Red Dog has collected more than $21 million at the Australian box office and has just picked up the main prize at the Heartland Film Festival in America.
9.2 seconds and you...
But it all might not have happened without the support of the mining industry.
Red Dog was originally a studio movie and it was going to be made with the backing of US studios. They eventually decided they didn't want to make this West Australian story, so we had to come up with some more entrepreneurial ways to raise the budget.
Nelson Wass is the film's producer. When it became clear he needed to raise more money, he went straight to the Pilbara's mining giants. To him, the pairing seemed like a natural fit, with the Red Dog script paying as much loving attention to a knockabout group of Dampier miners as it did to its canine star.
I said, look, this is a terrific story. It takes place in your backyard. It shows your communities and your workforce, and I think it's something that would be a great thing for you to support, and they did.
Rio Tinto, Woodside and Westrac came on board, offering not only money but access to the mining sites and equipment that would feature in the film.
All the sad faces in the world won't work, so you can just stop.
And Red Dog's not the only film that's tapping into the mining boom.
I was sitting under a mango tree with the Pigram brothers, and they were talking to me about this project, Mad Bastards, which they'd been talking about for some time, I think about 2 years as I recall, but they were short of funding. And at this stage I'd probably consumed one too many Matzo ginger beers. So I suggested that I would go and get the necessary funding, or certainly endeavour to get the necessary funding to kick the project off.
Colin McCumsty was a mine manager for Mount Gibson Iron Ore when he agreed to help find the money for Mad Bastards, a film that takes a tough look at alcohol and anger in the Kimberley. In a couple of months, he'd raised hundreds of thousands of dollars through local mining contacts, including a big donation from his employer.
It's got a strong anti-alcohol, anti-violence. It's about men's affairs as well. So in mining, there's a lot of things there that sort of tick the box that are pertinent to what actually goes on a mine site, Indigenous or otherwise. So it was a good fit.
The Derby local has now caught the movie-making bug. He served as executive producer for Mad Bastards and again on Satellite Boy, a film that's just wrapped in the Kimberley. For that project, he offered Mount Gibson a professionally made training video in exchange for the film crew gaining access to a disused mine site. He says the move from iron ore to the big screen isn't as challenging as some would think.
It's the same in as much as you're managing a project and there's certain KPIs or key performance indicators that you've got to meet. But because it's so artistic and you're meeting entertaining and artistic people, and I'm not saying that there aren't those sort of people in mining, clearly there is, but it's kind of wake up in the morning and allow yourself to be different.
By all reports, WA is going through something of a gold rush when it comes to filmmaking. 10 years ago, you would have been lucky to have seen one film get made here every 3 years. Now, with more mining companies coming on board, it seems the boom is going to continue, with more films likely to be made in regional WA, where the mining and the money is based.
Yeah, no worries. If not today, I can get it tomorrow. Yeah, sure.
Stephen Van Mill is the producer for The Drowner, an adaptation of a Robert Drew novel set to be shot in Kalgoorlie next year. He's followed the Red Dog lead, securing most of the pre-production funding from Mining Identities, keen to see the goldfields shine on the silver screen.
Well, the mining industry is a fairly obvious target because we are in the midst of a huge resources boom, and coincidentally that's exactly what was happening when the Drowner was set.
But with the funding comes some conditions. Colin McCumsty says you're not going to get resource dollars for a film that paints the industry in a bad light.
You can't say, we want you to sponsor us, but, oh, by the way, did you know the script involved, you guys being rather unscrupulous swines and raping and pillaging the land. They see the first draft of the script. You must make that transparent so they understand what message you're trying to portray. And in particular, if it's showing anything in a less than favourable light, and that's, as they say, don't bite the hand that feeds you, I think that becomes fairly obvious.
There's always people with vested interest in the goldfields and people that believe that history should be rewritten. So we listen to those people and politely suggest we'll look into it.
Gonna find a place to hide my head.
For filmmakers, they say they won't let investors call the shots. But it's clear if the fit is right, there are huge riches to be mined.
I think Red Dog certainly has broken new grounds on how to structure a film investment. Luckily, we've been successful, and I hope that opens doors for other producers to get films made in Australia and West Australia specifically, because it's important that we get our stories told.
There's lots of opportunities out there. I think there's a great opportunity for corporate Australia, not just West Australia, to get involved, to promote the arts and media as more as a catalyst for solving a lot of issues, social issues or otherwise, Indigenous or otherwise. And basically the industry does rely on it, and it looks like there might be a bit of a turning of the tide. Hopefully I can play a part in that, but certainly the future's looking pretty good at this stage.
Claire Nichols there.